Right. Well, hello, I'm Andrew McNaughton. I'm the Chief Engineer for High-Speed 2, which means I'm responsible for designing how a high-speed line and a high-speed network would operate, and therefore how we'd need to engineer it. What people are seeing today in this consultation event, which is one of a great many up and down the initial route, which is London to the West Midlands, but then beyond to Manchester and Leeds and so on, is what people are seeing is our initial thoughts and consideration of how a high-speed line, were it to be built in this area, would look, and for people, particularly for local residents, how it might sound and what its appearance would look like, as much as the more detailed technical matters of a high-speed railway line. But we do have information on what a high-speed line, what the trains would look like and everything else for those people who are interested. A point probably to make is that high-speed lines are not in themselves new technology in any way. The first high-speed line in the world, as we know high-speed railway lines, was actually opened in 1964 in Japan. So they're nearly there at their first half century already. Since the first line was built, the technology has been developed largely because where they've been built, they've been very successful. They've brought cities closer together, they've made travel easier, but in most countries that have adopted them, just as here, the reason for starting a high-speed network is about growing numbers of people travelling between cities and the need cost-effectively to provide more capacity, more trains, and there's only so much you can do with an existing railway network, most of it built nearly 200 years ago in a very different era for a very different purpose. Most original railways were built for the transport of goods. Here we are talking about a line dedicated to fast travel, intercity travel between the major cities of this country, which continue to grow. In my last role, I said I was Chief Engineer of High Speed 2. Before that, for a number of years, I had the privilege of being Chief Engineer for Network Rail, which is the country's infrastructure manager for railways. One of my tasks there was to lead the work on the upgrading of the existing main line north from London to Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, which took the best part of 10 years and with the best will in the world was very disruptive to passengers whilst it was being upgraded. The cost of that route was around, upgrading work was around £9 billion, much of which was simply the cost of disruption. What we did with that route was expand it just about as much as it could be expanded, and therefore when the government and when the railway industry can show the continued growth of passengers travelling long distance, and the number of passengers that travel long distance has pretty much doubled in the last decade. Doubled. That's a huge number of people. Then you can project, there comes a point when you can do no more. You have to build new capacity if people are going to be able to travel as they wish to travel. So we've got to the position pretty much like the other countries, first Japan, then France, then Spain, Italy, Germany, and the roll goes on, that have realised there comes a point where the best thing to do for their future is to build a new railway line rather than build new airports or new motorways. And that's the position we got to here. But by about the time High Speed 2 opened, the existing railways will be chock full, absolutely full. So this provides a huge amount of new capacity. By using tried and tested technology developed for the world of high-speed railways, nothing special, just how high-speed railways are done. We know we can more than double the number of trains running to the north of England. And we can therefore provide for future generations from the mid-2020s onwards the ability to travel quickly and effortlessly between cities. That enables us to move long-distance trains off the existing and increasingly overcrowded network. So an equal part of this scheme is how the existing lines can be reused when the long-distance trains are taken away. This enables us to predict many more passenger trains for commuters and more freight moved off roads onto rail, because we've created space on the existing network by taking the long-distance trains away from them onto the new high-speed network. So that's really what high-speed rail is about. It's about providing the capacity for the future and for the future generations of people in this country to travel as they continue and want to do long distance between cities, and to free capacity on the existing railway for more suburban trains, commuter trains, freight trains, where people are frankly queuing up to use railways. They see railways as the transport of the future. This consultation is about our first proposals for this potential route. We have worked our proposals so far on using tried and trusted technology, but that means using the latest trains that are coming out of the world of high-speed rail worldwide. This means trains, the trains being manufactured today are universally for railways that run at about the speed that we look to run at initially, 225 miles an hour or thereabouts. They are large trains like Eurostar. For anybody who's travelled on Eurostar to Paris, they can be up to 400 metres long. Because they are standard European sized trains, they are bigger inside, they can carry more people, and they can carry them in greater comfort than is possible with our railway, which basically harks back to, or our original railway, which harks back to Victorian times. The new generations of trains, a bit like technology development with airplanes, are quieter than the first generation. We know, for example, that the trains coming out of factories in France today, which can run at 225 miles an hour, are no noisier at that speed than today's trains running at 200 miles an hour. And Europe, everywhere in Europe, people are concerned about noise. There are confident predictions the technology will lead in time to quieter trains still. But we based our whole scheme on the latest and best offerings from around the world of high-speed railways, which are big, electric, fast trains.